Hey guys, this is Jeffrey at Good Lawn Care. Got Caleb here with me. We're out here in the garage this morning and wanted to make a little video about why I choose to use a standard type of mower over a sit-down zero-turn. And this video got me thinking after watching Johnny Moe's sit versus stand, and he made a lot of great points about why he chooses to sit, and it makes sense for him. And for me, though, it's kind of the opposite. And so anyway, I just wanted to bring this about and talk about why I do it the way I do it. And anyway, he has a lot more experience than I do. I think he said he's been in the business for, mowing commercial or professionally for 23 years, I believe it was. I've been doing this for probably 17, so not quite as long as him. But I'm just going to give the points of what makes sense for me and why I do things the way I do. I get asked this quite a bit though by people also, just like whether it be customers or friends or people that see my business. Because kind of in our area, I would say you'd see a lot more zero turns where guys are sitting than compared to standing or walking. But I've always, well, first of all, I started, and I don't know if that even shows in the video. Okay, can you go look and see the commercial walk behind over here? Is that showing up? Okay, so that is just a commercial walk behind. I used to run that with a sulky, and then I moved up to the standard. But even long before that, okay, so back when I first started, I was working for a company using their mower. They weren't a lawn business or nothing, but just a big commercial property where they had someone do the mowing, and I was doing it for them. And it was a sit-down zero-turn. And I tell you what, at the end of the day, I'd come in and my back would just kill. And it just hurt bad. It was sore. Now, granted, that was back in early 2000s, so close to 20 years ago. Probably 2002, 2003. I guess it'd be about 16 years ago. But anyway, that was back before there was a lot of suspension seats and good, comfortable rides. Okay, so I didn't have, the float ride, or I didn't have Ferris where it had the independent suspension. Didn't have any of that stuff. But anyway, that's kind of what I started out on. Well, mostly I was doing that, plus running a commercial walk behind and doing a lot of push mowing at that time. Then I've always, I went with a lot of commercial walk behinds and had a sulky. And that, I can tell you this, sitting is probably way better than that. You can really mess your knees up on a sulky, especially if you got one that's not got a good give to it. The one that I use, or had used, had very oversized tires. Not like your typical jungle wheels where the tires are this big. These are big tires, almost basically the size as that right there. So it did give a pretty good, does that show up, Phil?
See the tire.
Yeah, see the tire. Why don't you pick that camera up and show them the tire. So almost as big as that. Actually, we have the sulky right over here. Okay, it's upside down, or it's on its side, that bucket right there. Okay, I'll point that out. Where that bucket is, that's the tire of the sulky right there. I got it flipped up. Okay, so that's what I was on. It wasn't so bad. It was not like terrible, but it still was pretty bouncy. And the thing is, if you're on a sulky, Caleb, hold this a minute for me, towards me. You got to make sure, and same way with standing, you got to make sure your knees got some give. Can you see that in the video, Kev? See how my knees are bent a little bit? Okay. You don't want them locked out because that's going to mess up something because you got that tension on your knees. Same thing with standing. Like if they always tell the kids when they were in a program at school, don't lock your knees because you're gonna black out. And anyway, that's kind of what I'm referring to right there, I guess. But so on the sulky, I'm just saying you can do a lot of damage by just standing. And that's what Johnny Mow was referring to in his video on when he was running a stander. You know, he'd said that blood was starting to pool down in his legs, and he'd come home at the end of the day, and he had swollen ankles, and he had to sit down, and it actually elevated his blood pressure. And yeah, that's something you got to be careful with. Now, same thing on the stander. Okay, so I'm standing all day. And I thank you for that video, Johnny, because that brought a lot of attention and awareness to me that, you know what, I never thought of that. I think of the benefits of standing all day. Okay, well, it's they say standing is healthier than sitting. Yeah, I agree to that to a certain extent, but I think more what people should be saying is that walking is better than sitting. Okay, if you're standing in the same position all day and you're not moving, I don't know if that is a benefit because all the blood would pool to one place. Now, as far as walking, I think like a commercial walk behind, if you're constantly moving, I think that's when you're seeing the health benefits. You're moving, you're getting exercise, okay, you're strengthening your legs. You would actually reduce your heart rate, or you would elevate your heart rate while you're working, but it actually should in turn help you have a lower heart rate, if that makes sense. Now also, so what I'm getting at here is why I run the standard mower. So for me, the reason I did it was I went from the walk behind to the standard, I guess, because of the fact that I kind of didn't want a big zero turn. Now, partly because for me, the one I'd run before was so rough on my back, and it was just constant jarring and pain in my lower back, and just I would just feel so tight and stiff, and I would just feel that pain in my back. And I was like, you know, looking at it from perspective, I'm like, you know, what would I rather have? Because in this industry, and Johnny's mentioned this, and a lot of people don't mention this. They, you know, when they're giving a video and they're telling these young guys, hey, you know, this is a great industry to get in, you can do this, but they're not telling you about these long-term effects in your body, okay? They're not saying, you know, you're going to have aches and pains, your back's going to kill, your knees are going to hurt. People know it's hard work, but it takes a toll on you. And Johnny was saying, don't jump off the back of a truck. Yeah, I used to do it all the time, jump down. And now it's like I do it, my knees ache. Okay, so I'm like, oh gosh, that hurts. Oh, you know, and just watching my kids jump off stuff now, it's like Caleb there, he jumps down off stuff, and it almost just makes my knees ache just watching him do it. But anyway, back to what I'm getting at. So anyway, I went to a stander. I wanted to try it out, and I thought, you know, I think I can save a lot of time over a walk behind. And so I went to the stander. Well, I guess the reason I did was because, like I said, I didn't want that big zero turn. When I buy something, okay, I want the top of the line. So, with Exmark here, I have the X Series. That's the top of the walk behinds, is the X Series. This here, this is the Vantage, which they don't make anymore, which I don't know if the verdict isn't out on that yet with the stars, but this is the X Series. That's the top end of what they make. Okay, so if I was going to buy the Laser Z X Series for a zero turn, that's probably what I would get. I would have to spend a lot more money than what I'm paying for these. Now granted, these are super priced, and Exmark has gotten to the point where they're pricing themselves out of the game sometimes, or it makes you wonder, you know, it really makes me wonder when I go to look next time. I'm going to look at something like a Ferris, or I'm going to look at maybe I don't know what, okay? Because that'd probably be my other option around here is a Ferris. You see in our area, Ferris, Exmark, a couple guys running walker mowers. I'm not interested in those. Maybe if I was doing bagging, yes, but I'm not. So anyway, that's one reason. Guys some of these videos I watch, they say, well, you know, these standards are just as expensive as Z-returns. Yes, but they're still a little bit cheaper in my opinion if you're comparing apples to apples. If you're comparing the X series of this to the X series of the Laser Z, it's still a couple grand less. Another big factor for me is the size of yards that I mow. Okay, the size of yards that I mow. So most stuff that I mow is pretty small. I consider it pretty small, around 1/4 of an acre. And so for me, going in there with a stand on is I can get in and out of tight spots real quick. Right? Saves me a lot of room to be able to do that. You know, I can fit in tight places. I can maneuver in quicker and whip around quicker than I can with the Z-return, just because this mower is more compact than the Laser Z would be. Okay, and I know these things, not because I'm just guessing. I didn't document stuff like Johnny did, but I did this spring. I had a situation where this machine right here was down, and it was out for about probably close to a month. Not 2 months, no. I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a long time. So anyway, I had, luckily, the dealership I had, they let me borrow a Laser Z. It was a Laser Z E series, okay? And it's a good mower, but I didn't like it as much as this. Now, part of the thing, comparing apples to apples again. This has the Kohler EFI engine, okay? That one had just a Kawasaki carbureted engine, and that was this spring when we were mowing like crazy. It was raining every day. Okay, right now we can't even find rain, and it's pretty dry. But what happened was with this thing, it has so much more power, and at EFI the fuel savings, I didn't realize how much gas I was saving until I went to that Laser Z and realized how much gas I was sucking with that carbureted engine. And I was having to cut more than I would with this, almost just because of the power that it had. They're both 60-inch decks, but that E-Series just seemed a little bit, that Laser Z E-Series, it just seemed a little underpowered compared to this thing here. Also, the size of it, because of the size of the Laser Z, this trailer is 14 foot. Now I like to carry this big walk behind because I have a mulch deck on that. That's used for more tight yards where I can't be throwing clippings everywhere. Because if you guys know, this is still recording, right, Kevin?
Yes, move your body.
Okay. Why was I not showing up?
No, you weren't showing the mower.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, that's used for mulching because I don't want to be throwing clippings everywhere. You guys know, if you know Exmark, it throws the grass quite a ways, which is good because then you don't have to worry about clippings too much. Okay, but because of that, I carry that mower with me, and I carry this mower with me. Okay, I can only fit them on the trailer plus a commercial 30 back here, the Exmark commercial 30. Okay, Caleb, you can show that stuff if you want. But anyway, because of that, when I had that Laser Z, I could not fit all three of these mowers. I could not fit the 60-inch walk behind plus the commercial 30 and the Laser Z. So for me, it saved me, the Laser Z did not save me time because I had to come back a couple times and switch mowers. Right? But whereas here, I can fit everything on here. Now, if you can see in my situation, right there is the front of the trailer. Back here is the back of the trailer. I got maybe enough room that I could possibly get another 2 feet. So I could maybe get a 16-foot trailer, but right now I got a 14-foot. So for me, that saves just enough to make a difference for me. Okay? Now, another thing is feathering the deck. Johnny Moe talks about feathering the deck. Okay? That is an issue. He is correct about that. Now, I wish I had the, it's kind of early in the morning, so I didn't open the garage up yet. I wish I could put this down. I can't really put this down because this is in the way. Kid, does that show up on the video, Kim?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't put that all the way down to show you. But anyway, when I'm standing on that platform, to be able to feather the deck, I do have to kind of pull this up as I'm going. The nice thing though about this Exmark with the ECS, which they've done away with on the Stars, is it's not like the zero turn controls where you have to be, you know, pretty much two hands in there going like this. Okay, this thing's going to go on its own. If you've ever run ECS, is that showing up, Kim? You guys know that you can operate this thing and still go straight. You're just squeezing left and right. So I can stand here and feather the deck if I need to. Now I can only really think of about one property where I do that. I know for us, we're pretty flat here in Illinois, so we don't have to worry about that as much. Now granted, you have places in yards where you maybe have a terrace or something like that, terraced yard or a berm or whatever. But I mow high enough that it's really not an issue for me. I mowed most things around 4 inches, I'd say. So, especially this time of year. So it's not too much of an issue where I have to worry about it. All right. The other thing I like about this, and this was not the case, I believe, for Johnny Moe with that Z2, that Ferris Z2, is this platform. I was watching his video, and on that platform, it's basically built in between the tires. So, Caleb, go ahead and let's lay that down as best we can without busting that up. We can't put it all the way down right now. But on his, the platform was in here. He was basically stuck on that Ferris. You're stuck in between the wheels. And I think that's what Exmark's gone to now with the Stars. Now, the thing that's good about that is your center of gravity is going to be a lot better. Because I'll be the first to tell you, this thing is not, this Vantage here is not the greatest on hillsides. I was kind of disappointed by that. The top side, you got to have your weight way over here on this. You got to have your weight clear over on this side to kind of keep this top tire from wanting to spin when you're up on a hill. But the nice thing about this platform being behind is the fact that my feet aren't squished up in there. Okay, it's not rubbing on me or anything. And Caleb, can you hold this camera here and show this?
Yep.
Okay, so Johnny was saying that because I think he was part of the machine on that Ferris. You know, he was saying he was still getting hit in the face by stuff, and there was not enough room to move. Well, in this situation, you might scoot back, Caleb, so you can get this. Okay, now pretend like I'm standing on this platform, but here's what I do a lot. If I got a tree or something, I'm ducking down, and I can get my head clear down here to where I'm below this, okay? Or I can lean way over to the side this way or that way. Whereas I think on the Ferris, and I think a lot of these new ones now, when you're up in between the wheel wells, there's not as much room to do that. All right, so that's kind of disappointing to see on some of these new ones, but I think you do get the benefit now of having a better center of gravity. So anyway, that's just my take on the whole platform thing. This pad here is very firm. I've never had any issues with it. This has anti-fatigue mat on it, whereas he was showing the Ferris was mostly just metal, I believe. But it does have the sides kind of feather up so you can adjust your feet over here, whereas he was kind of pinched up inside on that Z2. Now, I don't know if there's anything else. I'm sure I got some other thoughts that I'm thinking of with this. I hope this has just kind of been a good opinion of why I like using these things, right? I guess back to when I was using that Laser Z, for me it just did not seem to save hardly any time. And I think a lot of that was just the fact that was the time of season also. The grass was growing like crazy. Like I said, I have the bigger engine on there compared to the demo I had. So, I mean, that makes a huge difference. And I think it's all just relative to what you're used to. You know, for me, walking or standing is a lot more natural, just for me. But I'm on my feet pretty much all day. I don't know, for you guys don't know, I'm a physical education teacher. So I'm constantly on my feet in the gym moving around, or I'm outside moving around. And that's the thing though, is moving around. So I really got to consider this now, to think that, you know, I always thought, yeah, standing is so much more of a benefit than sitting. But if you're constantly standing in the same spot and not moving around, that can be bad too. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys my opinion on why sitting is not for me, why standing is my my way that I use. But we each have our own, you know, and I think a lot of it pertains to the type of yards you have. Also pertains to the areas, you know, of the country we're at. Some places are more flat, some places are more, you know, hilly, and just your terrain and such. Caleb, what are you doing? You better not be messing up the view of the camera. Stop. But anyway, I do want to stop. I do want to thank you guys for watching this video. Also, just thank you for any comments you might have. Go ahead and leave them below on this today. Okay. And if you got any questions or comments, yeah, please leave them. And it seems like something else I'm going to say here, but can't think of it right now.
You need to restring your trimmers.
Why? They're almost out of line. Okay. So anyway, thanks for watching, and hey, have a good day. Remember, Mow Nation, baby. Mow Nation.